Dukkha pattaca nidukkha, bhaya pattaca nibhaya, soka pattaca nisoka, hontu sabbe pipanino. May the suffering be free from suffering. May the fear struck be free from fear. May the grieving be free from grief. So too may all beings be. With this metta thought in mind, let us focus our mind on the Dhamma talk on Mahasatipatthana Sutta. Today I am going to start talking on parts of the body. Its title is Patikula Manasikara. I think many Theravada Buddhists, Theravada countries practice this meditation. Not everybody, but some people practice this meditation. At the same time, there is a great deal of misunderstanding of this practice. The title says foulness, the body parts. That is how it has been translated into English, and that is how it is translated into other languages like Sinhalese. Particular sounds like foulness or loathsomeness. But this meditation is much more profound practice. The Buddha, before I go through the list, I want to clarify the meaning, and when we do not understand it properly, how it leads to danger. Anything that we do without understanding can lead to danger. Very famous simile of catching snakes. If you catch snakes incorrectly, if you catch the snake by its tail, it will turn around and sting you and cause you serious sickness or death. Similarly, if Dhamma is not properly understood, that can always lead to misunderstanding, and that can cause your suffering or death, and then it can also cause the suffering and death of others when you give wrong, when you have misunderstood, and if you teach others this misunderstanding, then you can cause not only harm to yourself, but even to others. Much more serious than this is when the snake bites, you suffer in this life, you suffer alone, and you cannot infect others. But when you misunderstood Dhamma, not only you suffer, but you can cause suffering to others, not only in this life, but in samsaric existence. And I want to make it very clear at the very beginning. That is why I mentioned this. The misunderstanding is particular is Pali word is going against the current, going against the grain. This is called Patisodagami practice. Patisodagami. What is Patisodagami here? What is going against the current? That is, these parts of the body uh, generally people take as either beautiful or ugly, or acceptable or not acceptable. The body people think acceptable or pleasant or unpleasant. Some bodies are pleasant to some people and unpleasant to others. And when we use this practice, we do not fall into that trap, thinking that this is beautiful or this is ugly. And there is a story. This story is found in two places, one in Samyutta Nikaya, one in Vinaya Pitaka Mahavagga, Vinaya and Parajika section. In Samyutta Nikaya story is when Buddha was living in Vesali, he gave instruction to bhikkhus, and he spoke very highly of foulness, talk on, he said, now on that occasion, Blessed One was giving the bhikkhus a talk on foulness in many ways, was speaking in praise of foulness, was speaking in praise of the development of foulness meditation. When Buddha gave these instructions, and he said to bhikkhus, monks, bhikkhus, I want to take 2 weeks seclusion. I wish to go into seclusion for half a month. I should not be approached by anyone except the one who brings me alms food. So having given this instruction, Buddha went to his own personal retreat for 2 weeks. So the monks who have listened to his instructions on foulness of the body began to meditate on it. Then they themselves said the Blessed was giving a talk on foulness in many ways, was speaking in praise of foulness, was speaking in praise of the development of foulness meditation, and then they began to practice it. When they were practicing it, what happened to them? Being repelled, humiliated, and disgusted with the body. Repelled, humiliated, and disgusted with the body. They sought for an assailant. In one day, 10 bhikkhus used the knife, or in one day, 20 or 30 bhikkhus used the knife. That means it has been elaborated in Vinaya. The same monks, this is a assailant, a sham monk, who was not who has been expelled from other communities, and these monks practicing foulness of the body, being humiliated and disgusted with the body, approached this sham monk called Migalandaka and requested him to cut their throats. So it is said that one monk gave his knife to this Migalandaka. You know, monks have among their 8 requisites, one is razor to shave their head, not razor like today with razor blades and so forth. It's a kind of long knife. You can sharpen it every time you shave and shave your head. And he had this kind of knife. This monk gave it to Migalandaka and said, Migalandaka, I am disgusted with this body. This is force. So loathsome, foul, ugly, dirty. I don't want to have this body. Please take this knife and cut my throat. Without any hesitation, he hesitated, but later on he overcame his hesitation and cut this monk's throat. Then he collected his robes, arms balls, and began to sell them. He can make little money. Then it is said that he went from kuti to kuti asking monks whether they like to end their life since the body is ugly, dirty, repulsive, and so on. And some of these monks who have not attained enlightenment agreed to get their head cut off. And this is what he did. So, according to both stories, many monks, uh, 10, 20, 30 monks cut their heads in one day. So, after the Buddha returned from his 2 weeks retreat, when the community has been reduced, community of monks, he asked Venerable Ananda the reason why the bhikkhus number was reduced. He explained to him. Then the Buddha gave another discourse called Anapanasati Sutta. Now, what is the misunderstanding? That they thought this body is ugly, dirty, foul, repulsive. There was another monk, he was Venerable Sariputta's disciple. He was full of lust. Venerable Sariputta gave him this meditation, asking him to meditate on these parts of the body. And this monk went and sat under a tree and began to meditate. His lust increased. Instead of decreasing, his lust increased. And then he returned to Venerable Sariputta and reported this. And he said, this subject of meditation doesn't fit my personality. My lust increases. Venerable Sariputta said, no, this should not happen. This may not happen. Go again to the same place and do the same meditation. Second time also he returned. Third time when he returned, Venerable Sariputta thought this may not be the proper, correct, suitable subject of meditation. Remember at the very beginning when I was talking about suitability of clear comprehension? Clear comprehension, the subject must be suitable for your personality. So this subject was not suitable for him. Even though Venerable Sariputta second only to the Buddha, even he could not find the most suitable subject for his own disciple. Anyway, finally he took him to the Buddha. The Buddha, as soon as he saw this monk, he knew this monk needs another subject of meditation. So he gave him a lotus flower. There were many lotuses in the Buddha's kuti because many people went to see the Buddha every day with flowers in honor of the Buddha to pay respect. When since they had brought lot of flowers, the kuti, his kuti is called Gandha kuti. Gandha kuti means perfume chamber. Buddha did not use any perfume, did not burn incense or camphor something to make it perfumed. But the flowers that people brought to his kuti made the kuti perfumed kuti. Anyway, he took one of those lotus flowers and gave to this monk and asked him to go out and sit. There was a pond. Sit near the pond, stick this flower in the ground, focus mind on this flower and meditate. This monk followed the Buddha's instructions and he was focusing mind on the flower. It was very hot day. While he was focusing mind on the flower, because of the heat of the sun, the petals, leaves began to wither, frail, weak, and fell in on the ground. And then the stalk also became weak and withered and fell on the ground. Meanwhile, some children also picked some flowers, lotus flower from the pond. They put out them around the pond, and they too withered and faded away. Seeing this particular monk focused his mind on impermanence. This beautiful flower, though it is full of fragrance, color, fresh, it was dripping water with freshness, and now, alas, it is faded away. This body of mine is exactly like this. While he was thinking like that, he attained enlightenment. And the Buddha appeared before him and said, Kumbhupamang kaimimang viditva, nagarupamang chittamidang tapetva, yodheta marang panyayudhena, jitancha rakhe anivesanosya. And Buddha appeared before him and said, this body is like a clay pot, kumbhupamang, like a clay pot. Knowing this body like a clay pot, And the mind is like a city. Nagarupamang. Nagar is city. Our mind is like a city. It is very good simile. City has all kind of activities, all kind of people, all the movements, everything is moving, water, sewer, vehicle, people, and so forth and so on, and drainage, and so many things are moving. The mind is like that, moving always. Pandanang, chapalang, chittang, durakhan, dunnivar, and Buddha said, it is always pulsating. It is unsteady. It is uncontrollable. It goes wherever it wants, and so forth. Very difficult to control. But seeing one thing you can control the mind, that is impermanence. Use the weapon of wisdom. Yodheta marang panyayudhena. Panyayudha means weapon of wisdom. Mara is all the defilements. All the retinue, army of Mara are called defilements. Using the wisdom knife, knife of wisdom, cut off all these enemies, fight them. Yodheta means fight. Fight the armies of Mara, that means all the defilements, with the weapon of wisdom. Yodheta maram panyayudena. Jitancha rakhe anivesanosya. Then, after fighting the Mara, you gain ground. Once you gain ground, don't dwell upon it. Don't settle down. Don't keep holding to it. Leave a garrison to take care of that land. When Buddha gave this instruction, means don't hold on to anything. Don't hold on to anything. Let it go. Let it go. That is the very nature of this life. Everything is impermanent. So this monk attained full enlightenment after these wise instructions of the Buddha. Now, this monk has been a goldsmith in his life. As a goldsmith, he used to see gold and he enjoyed gold. And he never thought of impermanence, never thought of foulness. Gold is very beautiful, valuable, and so on. That's how he has conditioned his mind. And the Buddha immediately gave him a completely different subject of impermanence. Even the gold is impermanent. That color impermanent, and he attained enlightenment. So now, one set of monks even committed suicide because of misunderstanding of the subject. This monk continued his lust, increased his lust because of misunderstanding. Now, so we have to be very mindful of this particular section when you use it as part of your meditation. Now, we say it is going against the current. Going with the current means in the society, generally, I think 99.9999% thinks this body is beautiful. Occasionally, they might think this body is ugly. In this body, there is nothing beautiful, nothing ugly. That is the frame of mind we have to have. Because when we think of ugly, you arouse your anger. When you think it is beautiful, beautiful, you arouse greed, lust. The meditation subject should not lead the meditator to lust or hatred or confusion. Meditation must lead the people's mind to liberation from lust, hatred, and delusion. Greed, hatred, and delusion. Therefore, before I explain the section, I wanted to in the form of introduction, I want to mention this. When you read the list, when you read the list, in order to substantiate this truth, Buddha has given a beautiful simile. Uh, Before I read the list, and most of you know by heart, the list is called 32 parts of the body. Friends, there are no 32 parts of the body in the original discourse. Original discourse, there were only 31 parts. 31 parts. Later on in commentaries, sub-commentaries, and later teachers and writers added one more part. What is the part they added? Was the brain. So they could not find a suitable place to add the brain. They added it after feces, after excrement, in order to make it a part of 20 parts of the solidity of earth element. So now, therefore, nowadays we say out of 32, 20 belong to earth element and other 10, 12 belongs to water elements. So it is divided into these two elements in this particular meditation. So, therefore, in order to make it 32, they added the brain and put under the feces or excrement, so that from the excrement to the beginning of kesa, here, there will be 20 parts belonging to earth element. And then the rest is water element. Now, I think day after tomorrow, I will explain this even more in more detail. At the very beginning, I have to. I thought of telling our meditators to be very careful when they use these 32 parts of the body as an object of their meditation. Mindfulness meditation. Remember, we are doing mindfulness meditation. In the mindfulness meditation, we develop our mindfulness not to increase our greed, hatred, and delusion, but to overcome greed, hatred, and delusion and liberate the mind from greed, hatred, and delusion. Keeping this in mind, you may do this homework for me. Perhaps day after tomorrow, when I explain this, you understand even better. For now, keep this much in mind. Keep this much in mind. So, friends, I don't want to spoil the talk by starting it right now. I want to start it day after tomorrow, and tomorrow you can ask me questions. And also, please remember, instead of jumping ahead, because when you ask a question from the end of the discourse, those who have not read the discourse, those who have not been meditating very long, those who are new to the meditation, they will get confused. And therefore, please try to focus your question on the section that we discussed so far, this section or any previous section, please be very compassionate, be considerate, understanding that we are going slowly and we want to take others along with us. We don't want to race and go ahead and get the first prize first. We want to be very compassionate and take all those, so like slow walkers. And so we try to do that with metta. So friends, I'm happy that you you have been listening to this, and I hope if there was any misunderstanding, I clarified to some extent, but there can be more. So as we are clearing our way out, clarifying our misunderstanding or confusions, we proceed. With this, I want to wind down the morning's talk, and may all those